This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and take a look at their products, sizes, and colors and find the Roosport pouch that's right for you. That's theroosport.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
And everybody, welcome back into Sideline Warning. This is episode 35, and as always, you've got the golden voice of the Southeast, the one, the only, Dave Adams, coming to you. I won't say live because we're recording, but live-ish from Huntsville, Alabama. And as always, I have brought my friends along. First, just because we always go to him first, all the way from Birmingham, Alabama, Ben Foster. What's going on, Ben? Did you go to any concerts this week?
This was actually a light week. You know, the summer is a time for music festivals, so not as many folks are touring and hitting up the venues. But there's some good stuff coming up in Birmingham. But, you know, you say the show's not live, but we are alive when we're recording, so it's sort of live.
Okay, and we're actually doing it at our normal evening time, so we're going to be more alive. But, Ben, you did bring in the same prop from last week. You have your Whataburger cup already.
It's not a prop. It's how I keep these lovely vocal cords lubricated.
With Dr. Pepper?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and bring in our other co-host all the way from the House of Mouse, Orlando, St. Cloud, Kissimmee, Winter Garden, Lake Buena Vista.
Go ahead and throw Indian Shores in there. Just got back from vacation.
Indian Shores. He doesn't believe that a hot dog should be just a hot dog. He believes that a hot dog is a sandwich. Mr. Adam Russell. What's going on, Adam?
All of the above, you have me pegged. I live in all those places, and I'm a firm believer in the hot dog being a sandwich. So,
Adam, I've got a question for you. Does it bother you that the only research Dave does for the show is opening Google Maps to yell out suburbs of Orlando?
No, it's fine. I think everybody feels that that's the amount of effort that he puts. Never mind. I'm going to stop that.
Guys.
A better question for you, Adam. Do you have your tickets for the Camping World kickoff?
I do. I absolutely do. And I also know someone who has 4 tickets if they're interested. They can call 931-44-BLITZ and let me know that you need 4 tickets to the game. But no, I do. I have 2 seats, and one of my old friends from college, one of our old friends, Dave, actually Lindy, is coming down, and she actually got seats right next to us. So,
cool.
So, yeah, we're going to have a good time. And then we found out this week that Bama Orlando has a kickoff event the Alumni Association chapter down here has a kickoff event every year for the season. And the night before the game, they're going to have Funny Mane come down and grace us with his comedic and football talents. So it'll be good.
So 2/3 of Sideline Warning will be in Camping World Stadium. And one of them will only be a mere 6 hours away because I'll be stuck in Atlanta waiting for my flight to get to Orlando. But I couldn't talk the wife.
There's still time to reroute, Dave.
There is.
I couldn't talk the wife into bringing my 2 young daughters into Camping World Stadium. I even tried saying, hey, how about just I go to the game and you and the girls just go into Disney World? It'd be fine. I can sit with Adam and Ben, and we can all just have a Sideline Warning, just live broadcast from the stadium. But it didn't work that way. She didn't like that.
Overruled.
I was.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to figure out something to do. Oh, well, I'll be in Orlando.
Just a little too late, but you will be in Orlando.
Just a little too late. And that made my flights to Orlando a lot more expensive than it should, because everybody's like, oh, Alabama to Orlando. We know what you're going for, so let's raise those flights up a little higher.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
It's
all your fault.
It is supply and demand. That's why the planes cost so much. There's a lot of people that want to go there. That is just simple economics. That is how supply and demand works. And that is why Nick Saban is now worth $8.5 million.
Oh, segue. We weren't done with the friendly banter yet, Ben.
Evidently, we are.
Well, what banter is friendlier than the banter the athletic director Greg Byrne had with Nick Saban when he said, "Nick, you look like $8.5 million."
Well, Adam, you've got the particulars of the contract pulled up, so go ahead and read them off for us.
All right, we'll do. So it extended out through 2025 now. His salary jumps from 6.725 to 7.5, but there's a $400K increase each year. He also gets a contract extension / championship signing incentive, which is in quotes, so I'm sure that's good legalese in the contract itself, of $800K this year, and then contract completion payments of $800K for the next 3 seasons. And when he finishes out the contract, he will be 74 years old. So,
are either of you guys getting a $400,000 bonus next year?
Well, yeah, aren't you?
No,
I thought that was standard. Oh, it's not standard?
Is that not standard?
It is.
We paid each other a bonus for the show last episode. Did you not? Oh, sorry, Ben.
Man.
That did not hit my bank account.
Adam, did we forget to give him the bonus?
I think we might have, Dave. Crap.
Oh, man, it's already been spent. Oh, sorry.
You're the treasurer, man. I look to you for all that stuff.
Oh, sorry. But, hey, what do y'all think about this? Was this just a kind of, hey, we got extra money in the bank, let's go ahead and up Saban and give him some more money? Or was this a, you're turning 66, we kind of don't want to find somebody else, so let's go ahead and make it worth your while a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think we're saying to everybody this is a long-term thing. Every recruit, every potential coach, everybody out there needs to know this is the way it's going to be out through 2025. I think it's a good vote of confidence. I also think it puts him in the rightful place of, I think he was still behind Urban Meyer, and this actually pushes him out in front. I think he was second.
I think
it makes sense.
There's a lot of numbers there. 6.7, 7.5, 8.3 million, 400,000, the 800,000. There's a lot of numbers there, but the most important number is 2025, because that is the main argument for being able to tell any high school recruit Saban's not going anywhere. Saban's had that line before where he said, "Hey, I'm too old to go anywhere else and start over." But now you don't want Saban saying, "I'm too old." You want to take that line away from him, and you want him to say, "Look, I got a contract to 2025, and I'm not planning on going anywhere else." Anybody he recruits will graduate, even if they're there 5 years. They'll be done well before Saban's contract's over.
Yeah, let's look at it this way too. When Nick Saban signed with Alabama in 2007, I remember you and me, Ben, you and I were talking about this in 2008. There's no way Nick Saban stays 4 years. Nick Saban's a 4 or 5 year guy, and then he's off to somewhere else. But now we're looking at Nick Saban as the second longest tenured coach in Alabama history if he finishes this contract out, of course, behind Bear Bryant. And I think that those two coaches will forever be linked in the lores of annals of Alabama history, maybe even college football history.
Well, they're linked right now, but if this keeps up, if Saban continues to win championships at the rate he's been winning them, he's not going to be linked to Bear Bryant because he's going to have surpassed Bear Bryant. And there's a lot of people that don't want to mentally prepare for that. Dave, I see you shaking your head, but Saban is going to definitively be the best college football coach ever, and there won't even be an argument about it. There may not be an argument about it right now, but if he keeps winning at championships at the same rate he's been winning them, he's going to add 2 or 3 or 4 more championships before he retires. At that point, he has no peer. He's not linked to Bear Bryant. He's well ahead of Bear Bryant, and Bear Bryant's that other guy. And Bear Bryant's greatest legacy will be making Alabama a program that Saban would want to go to.
Okay, so here you say Bear Bryant could be that other guy.
Adam is breaking out the Doritos.
I'm getting my snacks ready.
Hold up now. Okay, so Bear Bryant could possibly be that other guy. What else does Bear Bryant have on Nick Saban besides championships? Tenure at Alabama. At tenure, he brought Alabama to a point when they were at its crippling lowest, even worse than they were before Nick Saban came to Alabama. I believe that what Bear has on Saban is that long tenure. He stayed at Alabama from 1957 to 1982. Can Nick Saban say he stayed at one school for 30 years?
No, but it's also a different era.
Now, if you ask me in 5 years, who is the best coach in college football history? It's going to be 1A, 1B, Nick Saban, Bear Bryant, Nick Saban. And it won't be any close to 2. But as of right now, Bear is still up there. Bear still has more championships.
As of right now, but 2025, when we're still doing this podcast and we're having this conversation again about how Nick Saban's contract has been extended through 2032, we're not going to be saying that it's 1A and 1B. We're going to be Saban number 1, Bear Bryant number 2, and then we're going to spend an entire podcast talking about who's number 3. And it'll probably be Kirby Smart at that point.
Yeah. And I think, too, as you move further into the contract, you're going to have more people where Nick Saban is all they really know, right? I mean, all the people on campus right now don't know about the Bear. They didn't have the T-shirt like I had when I was a kid that said, "Hold on, Bear, I'm coming," Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a completely different generation. So I think you'd lose that argument in the general population already, and only more so as time goes on. But I think when you just look at sheer results and what you have to do now to win a national championship, they're not granted by several different groups of sport writers or anything that was back in the day when Bear was there. It's a lot harder, I think, now. I think they're already 1A, 1B. I think it's going to be exactly what Ben's saying, where it's going to surpass. But
okay, Adam,
if that's the big if, though, he's got to keep winning.
So let me take a little pick apart of what you said just a second here.
Go ahead.
You said people on campus don't really know who Bear is. Well, you scan a live game. Do you see straw hats? Or do you see houndstooth hats? Do you see houndstooth shakers? Or I mean, come on. People know who Bear Bryant is. Nick Saban doesn't have a pattern named after him or levied on the school. Bear Bryant does.
Let me ask you this. Do people go to Walt Disney World because they know Walt Disney was an actual man? Or do they go because of the mouse ears and the fact that it's a tradition and my kids went, it's a rite of passage? It's the same kind of thing, right? Bear Bryant was a dude who lived a long time ago. I looked him up on my iPhone in between playing, Pokemon Go. That's what the kids on campus today look at it as, right? Is he was a dude that was really good. There's a statue out there, but Nick Saban is here and now. Like he's a myth almost, I think, to a lot of the kids that are on campus.
Dave, if you want to talk about houndstooth hats versus straw hats, what I want to tell you is you look at SEC Media Days, there's guys showing up wearing championship rings. And you know who brought that back into fashion? Nick Saban.
And may I actually say that the actual pattern of houndstooth in most of those hats is not what his hat looked like at all.
I agree with that.
So,
I agree with that.
I mean.
Yeah, it was usually plaid. He didn't really wear houndstooth. But, okay, so we all are in agreement this contract extension was a good thing.
Yeah.
What? Who is going to come on the show and be like, no, that's a terrible idea? Why would
I'm trying to make a segue here, okay?
Well, can I say I'm very proud of us that was as civil a discourse as it was, given that Ben said that Bear Bryant was some dude or that guy or whatever. I'm proud of us, guys.
I know that'd be like walking down to Disney World there and say, hey, Walt Disney, he was just some dude. Roy Disney was so much better.
Technically speaking, if you're a finance person.
Wait, okay. So let's do
it. But that's not even a good metaphor because Roy Disney never won the college football playoff.
Okay, so let's do this.
Apples and oranges.
Okay, how about this one? Walt Disney was just some dude. That Bob Iger guy, man. He was just
what?
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll save that one for a different podcast.
Right. So we're all in contention that this was a good contract signing, right?
Yes.
I can tell you something that we all agree on that was a bad signing. Who is the man taking over for Phil Savage in the booth with Eli Gold? He was a quarterback when I came back to school. He was Nick Saban's first quarterback. John Parker, Hoover High School, two-a-days, Wilson.
John Parker overthrow.
JP Dub.
Yes. There are so many great names that sat beside Eli Gold in the booth. Jerry Duncan, Ken Stabler, Chris Stewart sat up there a couple times. And then John Parker Wilson. Gentlemen, why did John Parker Wilson get this nod?
Well, I'll answer a different question that's in the same vein. I don't understand how they missed the opportunity to hire the golden voice of the Southeast.
I know, right? I mean, I even went to school at Alabama for sports broadcasting.
Which is right next to the stadium.
Exactly.
I mean, you practically lived there. I mean,
I kind of did. But, I mean,
they missed
the point when they moved Dave's tent to erect the Bear Bryant statue. That was really something.
It was sad.
Well, my favorite, people want to talk about game day traditions. My favorite game day tradition was watching Dave stand out there in his bathrobe with a coffee mug yelling, "Get off my lawn!" at everybody walking into the stadium. We're like, Dave, this isn't yours. Like, I know you're here Monday to Friday, but this isn't yours.
Wow, this show has gone off the rails quick, guys. Okay.
That's why people love us.
Episode 34 was a great discussion episode. And then I think it's because we recorded in the morning. We were all sharp. We were ready to go. We were talking sports.
Recording on a Sunday night. We were dull as
Okay, let's reel it back in.
What are we trying to do? What's the question, Dave?
Why did John Parker Wilson get the nod over anybody else?
Yes, I have a theory.
Oh.
Did his daddy pay?
When did John Parker Wilson graduate?
2007.
2009.
No, 2007.
Uh-oh.
He played the 2008 season.
He
played the 2008 season. So he either graduated in December of 2008 or he graduated in the spring of 2009. Anyway, the point is, John Parker Wilson is like roughly 31 years old. And you know what that means? He speaks to the younger generations. Kids these days, they don't want to listen to football on the radio. They're into podcasts. That's why we're doing one. But John Parker Wilson is bringing the younger kids back to radio. You're going to see kids wearing earpieces, listening to the game, listening to Eli Gold. He's bringing the younger generation to radio.
Wow.
Okay, and then they also... I don't...
No, you guys don't buy that?
No, not particularly.
Not at all?
But the other thing that kind of made me scratch my head, and I like this hire. I like Rashad Johnson as a on-the-field analyst. He's a great guy, great player for Alabama, but this also shows Chris Stewart the door. I thought they were grooming Chris Stewart to be the next Eli Gold.
Well, taking him off of sideline duties actually may make it easier for him to focus on play-by-play duties. But most important, we want Chris Stewart to be healthy, and Chris Stewart has had a difficult year. So I'm okay with Chris Stewart taking a step back. This is a good opportunity for him to take care of himself, focus on his play-by-play duties in basketball, and potentially be the football play-by-play guy down the road. And I like bringing in, Rashad Johnson and John Parker Wilson because they're guys that understand Saban's system. They understand the process. There's a lot of people that I thought about that would have been really good, like Tyler Watts. He does really well on the post-game show, the call-ins that people do after, and I thought Tyler Watts would have been really great. But what Tyler Watts doesn't have is experience in the locker room with Nick Saban, and that's a valuable insight if you're looking for a color commentator.
Yeah, I would have loved to grab Greg McElroy before he got snatched up by the SEC network. I like watching him on there too. And I watched some of JPW's stuff that he does for AL.com. And I mean, it's not bad, but it's not, it's not what we're used to, I don't think. I think it's going to take a little getting used to. But so Dave, if I can sum your point up, you like Rashad Johnson on the sideline.
Right.
But you can't quite put your finger on why you don't like JPW. To get it? Rashad Johnson finger? Anybody?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, I got it. Yes, thank you.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but to me, I can't get the image out of my head of them after every game that JP Dub lost for Mike Shula. Well, that Adam, he doing the Bama Bangs thing.
The hair.
But he also always wore a Boston Red Sox hat, flipped backwards. Now I always wear my hat backwards. That's kind of
You're
my
literally
thing.
wearing a hat backwards right now, Dave.
But it is a Southern team. JP Dub always wore a Boston Red Sox hat. I'm sorry. You're the quarterback for Alabama. Wear a Southern team's hat, not the Boston Red Sox, you daggum Yankee.
And by Southern, he can't wear a Red Sox hat and be a Yankee, first off.
Well,
he's got to be one or the other.
Turner.
He's got to be
Okay,
one
I
or the
see.
other. Also, I love how you're like, wear the hat of a Southern team as if there was something else besides the Braves.
There's the Marlins.
That's in Florida, and we all know that Florida is part of Lower New York. Tell me
Yep.
I'm wrong.
Once
Adam.
you go south, nope. Once you go south of Ocala, you basically have been in New York at that point, except for Polk County.
Until Nashville and Charlotte wind up landing a team, which is gonna happen. Atlanta's the only Southern team.
Well, it's like we said too, David. In some of the show prep, if he can keep his eyes off the scoreboard and the jumbotron long enough to actually pay attention to what's going on the field, because that's what I always remember is between plays, he was just like mesmerized by the TV, and it's like somebody put Teletubbies up there so this guy can be entertained.
I can't fault him there. I have that problem too. Like I'll be watching the game on the jumbotron, and then I'm like,
it's happening right in front of you.
It's here. Here it is.
Did y'all just catch that Adam called me David?
I'm sorry.
No, but I'll listen to it on
Should
the
I not
playback.
do that?
That's my Christian name, but I'm Dave Adams, the golden voice of the
my.
Southeast.
I'm
Come
trying
on.
to-
I'm trying to plus up your brand so that when JPW falls flat on his face, you're the obvious guy to take.
Okay,
My
I
biggest
appreciate it.
production assignment this week is going to be going back and editing out id from Dave's name.
I'll make sure to do that for the rest of the show. Then, Ben, you're welcome.
If that, yes, every time Adam, this is really good. Every time Adam has a Freudian slip with the id, you weren't expecting psychological jokes here. That's a big win.
We're deep.
We are
a deep show.
and dull.
Okay. Well, okay. You ready for this other segue? You ready? So something else that didn't go deep this last week was Alabama, or the Atlanta Braves digging into the talent pool to try for a good trade. The Braves made 2 trades this week. But guys, were they the kind of trades that you wanted to see for the Atlanta Braves?
Wanted or expected?
Well, that's a good point. Wanted and expected. Let's go with it.
Wanted in the sense that the players tend to be of the pitcher variety, yes. Wanted in the terms of the name and who they are and how much they're going after certain people, no. I mean, they're not bad acquisitions, but it just feels like we're sitting on the edge. I think we talked about like the guy with the State Farm and the dollar, I got you $1, almost there. It's like you were trading you an international sign, what is it, $250K per player?
Right.
And it's like we're not even really putting a lot of investment into it. And we're going after guys that would obviously either be free agents or they've had a bad year. I keep reading the same kind of story about all of the rumors that are out there that it's people who are pitchers, yeah, but they're not having great years or they're older. I mean, even your boy Venters comes back, right? He's had how many Tommy John surgeries?
Yeah, way too many.
So,
3.
I mean,
He's basically had his arm taken off and reattached multiple times. but I love this. This is part of getting the band back together. You put Venters in the bullpen, and before you know it, O'Flaherty and Kimbrel will just come running back because
Ventrable!
we're getting the band back together. So
Just don't give me Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah, no, that's part of it too,
No.
Dave. Didn't you hear Freddie's coming back?
No.
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 Freddie's
I'd rather
not
have
coming
Snit.
back.
I'd rather have Snit.
Hey, Snit's great. I love Snit. Okay, you guys are knocking these trades, but it basically cost the Braves nothing, and the Braves got 2 relievers. So I think that's pretty good. True or false? Simple true or false question. The Braves bullpen is better now than it was the last time we recorded this podcast. True or false?
false.
I mean, it's
more of the same caliber talent doesn't rise the tide to lift all the boats, right? I mean, it feels like we just added the same 2 more guys that are the same caliber that we already had. That's what it feels like to me.
That's kind of what I think so too. These guys are just kind of ho-hum names. I mean, cool. Johnny Venters is back in a Braves uniform. It's a cool story.
He's been really reliable for the Rays, and the Braves are probably going to use him just in a spot lefty specialist role. So it's not like they're going to even be throwing him out there for much more than like 1 batter at a time. And I think having I think having that lefty specialist role is going to be useful.
Okay, great. Did the Braves get J.A. Happ? Did the Braves get Nathan Eovaldi? Did they even get the guy from Familia from the Mets? No, we get Brad Branch, who spot saved for the Orioles, who barely even win games, and then Johnny Venters, who has a whole new bionic left arm.
It's a whole new arm. That's why you should be excited. If you told me we were going to get a relief pitcher from the Orioles and his last name started with a B, this was not the one I would have guessed.
No,
the Yankees kind of beat us to it. Yeah. And I get it. Like, you want to get somebody like J.A. Happ to shore up the starting rotation, or you want to go get someone like Britton to shore up the bullpen. But these guys improve the bullpen for virtually nothing.
Okay.
We got $1 for a quarter. That's what we got. We got $1 for a quarter with each of these trades. And if you want to go get J.A. Happ, that's going to cost you $10.
Great. Spend some money. I've been waiting for the Braves to spend money. It's taken the Braves 15 years since I've seen the Braves do anything. The last thing I remember the Braves doing
anything, really?
Okay. The last thing I remember the Braves doing at the trade deadline was that stupid Mark Teixeira trade, which was a horrible trade, but that's the last thing I remember the Braves really making a splash at the trade deadline. We've got the minor league system right now. We can trade Colby Allard. We can trade Luis Guijarro. We can even trade Julio Teheran because he's garbage right now. He's a failure. I've said it. He's a failure.
Here, don't call it a comeback, but it's going to be a comeback. Here it is.
Look, the Braves have all of these pieces in play that we can trade and make a run at this because the Braves are in it. The Braves should be buyers, and we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs. Stop it. Do something.
At what
and let's look at
cost,
Venters real quick. Sorry, you mentioned reliability, but let's look at the 10-game log, right? ESPN.com. Here's from June to now. 23 pitches, 15 pitches, 5 pitches, 11 pitches, 18 pitches, 2 pitches, 2 pitches, 4 pitches. I mean, that's
spot.
I mean, come on. And it's like one inning, a tenth of an inning, 2/10 of an inning. Yeah, but I don't know.
That's what he's going to do.
I want somebody who can get us through those middle innings where we just, last year, this year, we just break down. We've got to stop the bleeding. And I mean, yeah, we got $1 for a quarter, but I don't know that we needed $1.
Well, there's still time. You know, we're recording this on July 29th. We've got about 48 hours for the Braves to be able to pick something up. And actually, probably by the time we post this podcast, the Braves could have done something. So, in fact, there were rumors today about several scouts checking out Luis Guijarro.
And that's cool. I'm okay with the Braves trading Guijarro.
Because Guijarro could actually fetch us a few different options, and it seems like the potential deal would be with the Rangers.
I've heard that Kelsey Calais, or whatever his name is, the Rangers closer, and there's another reliever, and possibly be in that trade would be Adrian Beltre. So the Rangers giving us 3 people for Guijarro and maybe Colby Allard. I've also seen the Braves are in play for Chris Archer, down from your neck of the woods there, Adam. Yeah. The starter for the Tampa Bay Rays, which, do you want to switch starters? We'll give you Teheran if you give us Archer. I'll gladly give up Teheran.
That would be if that was the offer, straight up Teheran for Archer. That's a trade the Braves should take anytime. But I don't think that's going to be. I don't think that's going to be the terms of the agreement. The Rays the Rays are going to want prospects, and so are the Rangers. I don't know that I love Adrian Beltre. He has got 3,000 hits now, and he's closing in on 500 home runs, I believe. And it would be great to see him do that in a Braves uniform. But at what cost? Would you start Adrian Beltre right now over Johan Camargo?
No, I would use him when you have to move Camargo to like second or shorter outfield. How about this? I've also seen that the Rangers are willing to give up Joey Gallo. And Gallo can play outfield and third base. How about Gallo and one of these relievers for Luis Guijarro?
I don't know that you give up Guijarro for that. The way Charlie Culberson's been filling in, You've got versatility with Camargo. You've got plenty of versatility with Charlie Culberson, who basically is going to play every position except pitcher before the season's over. And I don't know why you trade a good pitching prospect for a versatile fielder. I don't think that improves the team.
But the Braves have enough starting back in the minor leagues that we can really give up a couple of pitchers.
Yeah, but I just don't think I think Gohara is more valuable as a potential starter for the Braves than getting a utility player, a guy that you can move around like Gallo. Who are you going to start Gallo ahead of? Nobody. You're not going to start him ahead of somebody. Yeah, okay. Did you see his home run today? Did you see that, Dave?
He's a failure.
The Braves had 4 runs, and it was pretty much all Markakis. So I don't know where you go. You don't go get Gallo. The only thing that's going to make the Braves better right now is pitching. And so you've got to figure out a way to get a starting pitcher, and you've got to figure out a way to improve the bullpen. And I don't think these trades with the Rangers actually make the Braves better. Gohara's got a lot of potential upside as a starter for the Braves, potentially later this season, but definitely in the next couple of seasons. And if he can drop some LBs, he could be a great starter.
But Dave, you used to pitch, right?
Yeah.
So looking at it through the eyes of knowing what that means, right? What is it? What is a good ERA?
2, 3. I mean,
2-3.
Yeah.
So all of these guys we're going after are pretty much in the 4 or 4+ territory.
But they're also spot relievers. You have to look.
No, I understand, but you've got Chris Archer sitting there 6-7 inning outings where he's throwing 4.
But look at who their team is. You also have to look at the team they play for, because if they aren't going out there, if they're getting no run support, then their ERA is kind of a little bit spotty. You have to look at their strikeouts per innings, walks per innings. It's not just ERA when it comes to stats.
So when you look at the stats, you feel comfortable with the acquisitions that we're making? Or should we go after someone with a little bit more? I feel like we're hitting on guys that are having bad years because they're cheap.
Right, and I've seen that too. I would prefer us going after somebody with some better stats, but teams aren't really willing to give up those guys with better stats. I've even seen where the Braves are linked to Marcus Stroman of the Blue Jays, and he's not having a stellar year either. But he's got the potential. I think what Anthopoulos is looking at is I've even read that he's going after guys that have a couple of years left on their contracts, that have potential to be guys that can stay with the Braves for a couple of years and be potentially good pitchers, maybe a year or two down the road. So I don't even think Anthopoulos is looking at this year as the year we do things, maybe looking at next year where we're the leaders and not really expected to run with the division.
It is definitely Anthopoulos' job to be the general manager and put the team together and figure out a way to put a winning team on the field. But at the end of the day, there's still a guy who has an office at the stadium named John Schuerholz. And things are going to operate the way Schuerholz wants them to operate. And Schuerholz has never mortgaged the future for the sake of one season. And he's not. Schuerholz was not afraid to go make big deals. He spent money. He spent money.
Teixeira.
Schuerholz spent money. Schuerholz spent money to go get
Mark Teixeira.
Okay, but yeah, Schuerholz also got you Greg Maddux and Fred McGriff. So, like, are you gonna Are you gonna tell me that John Schuerholz is a failure? Go ahead, Dave. Tell me that.
John Schuerholz is a Hall of Famer that built the '90s Braves.
Okay, and he is trying to do this one more time. He did it in Kansas City. He did it with the Braves in the '90s, and Schuerholz is doing it one more time because Schuerholz can do it, and that's what got Schuerholz into the Hall of Fame. And that's what he's doing, overseeing Anthopoulos. They are not going to mortgage the future for the sake of winning in this one season if they can tee up a full decade of winning and going to the playoffs again. And that's what they think they've got here.
Teixeira.
What? So what? Teixeira going to the playoffs with the Braves?
But what did the Braves give up for Mark Teixeira? Let's see. Neftali Feliz, Elvis Andrus. Two of the biggest pieces of the Rangers when they made their World Series runs. Mm-hmm. And the Braves just said, oh, here we go. We're going to rent Mark Teixeira for half a season.
Was Schuerholz, okay, the Braves had him longer than half a season. And was Schuerholz even the general manager at that point?
No, Frank Wren was.
Okay,
but
exactly.
He is in the same position that he is in currently.
So
if you're going to give Sherholtz all this credit for Anthopoulos' moves, you have to give Sherholtz the bad taste for what he did when Frank Wren was around.
I think Sherholtz gave Frank Wren too much room to run, and he's not making that same mistake again. And that is why he has overseen this whole rebuild. This is going to be a great team next year. It's going to be a very good team this year.
Adam's trying to get in and break up this fight.
No, this is a good conversation. I didn't want to break it up. I was just trying to make a point. If I can speak purely as a fan,
okay,
from section 308, while I have half a hot dog in my mouth, no analysis, no stats, right? We are, for half of a season, we were there, and now we're what, Dave? A game and a half, we said, out of the wild card right now. We are so close. We are so close that I don't, as someone who's just watching the games, who doesn't talk it every week with you guys, as someone who turns all those other parts of your brain off, why don't we just go get the piece that would make it fit, that would get us there now? Well, and I know you don't want to mortgage the future, but it feels like we're so close. Why are we getting a 33-year-old guy with all this surgery and a 32-year-old guy with a 4.85 ERA? It's just, it feels like we're making trades, but we're not doing something to close the gap. We could be there right now. Look what the Dodgers did.
And that is why we're doing a podcast and we're not the general manager of the Braves, because those are emotional decisions. They are not business decisions. Those are not the decisions that are going to make the Braves win in the long term. And the long term, having 10 seasons of success is better than having one season of success right now.
Let me ask you this, Adam. You say, why don't we go get that one piece? Well, what is that one piece? Because catcher, we're solid.
Yep.
First, solid. Second, solid. Shortstop, he's workable.
Not bad.
Third base, he's workable, but he's better than anybody out there. Right field, left field, center field, done.
Yeah.
I mean, the Braves need bullpen. We're going after bullpen. They're not the names I want.
The best way to improve the Braves is with arms, and you know what? I'm looking.
Even if they're fake.
Even fake arms. Even fake arms are better than no arms. Chris Archer's contract, I'm looking, if what I'm looking at is correct, his contract is through 2022. If I knew the Braves could get 3 or 4 years of Chris Archer, I would be willing to trade some prospects for that. I think Chris Archer's a great pitcher, and I think he will be a better pitcher when he knows he's playing on a team that has some bats. He was really effective when the Rays had some bats a few years ago and were looking competitive. Also, I've seen Chris Archer in some of the off-season, some of the postseason stuff. He goes in and does analyst work, and you're talking about a guy, I saw him doing analyst work. I think right now he is, let me see, he's 30 years old right now. Or no, he's 29. He's going to be 30 next year. I saw him a couple of seasons ago, in his 20s doing analyst work that you would expect from like veterans that have, 45, 50 years old that have been watching baseball for decades and decades. He is a sharp guy. He has a great baseball mind, and he seems to be a guy that the clubhouse loves. If you could put him in a situation to improve the Braves bullpen right now, that's the kind of right now improvement that I'd be interested in seeing. And it would be a contract that helps you for the next 4 years and would be valuable for the next 4 years. That is the kind of trade the Braves ought to be looking at. And that is the kind of thing that if they were going to do something big now, that would be the big thing now that they should look at.
And that's a good way of putting it, Ben. I think it's just, you look at the action that's happened already, and it's like, so what? I mean, yeah, okay. It just feels like you add the same number into the mix and it doesn't change the average. It just adds more options, right? And I think for me, having sat there and watched all the people that it's like, all right, we're going to hang our hat on this guy, and this is our guy, and this is a good player, and trade. We went through that. They cleared house, right? Built the farm system up. They got the Braves in. We got all-star players this year. We were in first place for a long stretch. And it just feels like, even if it's just one, like Chris Archer, let's go after one thing that you can like say, okay, now we're serious about this. Not, hey, wait till next year. Because as a fan, I know it's emotional, but as a fan, I'm just tired of it. I'm like, we're there. We could do it this year. We may not win the whole thing, but we could win the National League this year. But we've got to get somebody in there to give the pitching some life. And it's just these little piddly things we're dealing in now don't have any noticeable difference that I can foresee. But
Well,
Again, I'm not in the front.
But the Braves, we're saying the best way to improve the Braves is with an arm. But the past few games, the pitching's been pretty good. Today, we're celebrating Newcomb being one pitch away from a no-hitter, and that
I'm so mad.
It's disappointing to miss out on the no-hitter. But that performance today is the kind of shot in the arm that gets people fired up, and that is the kind of thing that a clubhouse can celebrate and rally around. And that's the kind of thing that flips the switch mentally, where guys start to get hot again. And I feel like the Braves have been pressing. They've been playing 500 ball because there's been this pressure to keep things going. A big trade like Archer could inspire people, but also guys stepping up and turning in good performances like Newcomb and Markakis did Sunday afternoon. Those kind of things can get a team fired up too. The Braves were playing way better than 500 ball in April and May, and they've got it in them, and they didn't have any extra superstars. They didn't need anything extra then. And I think Brian Snitker and I think Alex Anthopoulos think they can get back to that because you've got this lull period. There's a chance to bring it back up as long as the team quits pressing. So I think that's why you don't go trade away too much unless you get something very valuable and something that'll be valuable in more than just this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll tell you what, you don't go pressing too much because we need to take a break. We've pressed too much. And we need to take a break and let you hear from our sponsors, the Roost Sport. Let you hear about those cool running pouches that you don't have to wear a belt with. And then, hey, we got something cool on the other side of the break. We've been asking you to call into our Blitz line. Adam, what's that number?
931-44 Blitz. Now I just had to click mute. I remember it this time. 931-44 Blitz.
If you're not listening to the very end of the show, you need to, because there's some great, outtakes. And last week's outtake was there was two of them, and it was two of the best outtakes I've ever heard. But anyway, it's time to sit back, relax, have a nice coconut smile, and we'll see you here on the other side of Sideline Morning.
Hey everybody, while we've got a quick second, I want to tell you again about our sponsor, Roost Sport, at theroostsport.com, and the running pouches they make that clip to your waistband with magnets. I know we've talked in the past about our experience with the Dark Side Half Marathon. I'm actually training for my second half marathon with my new Roost Sport that I recently got, and I got to say, still love it. I'm able to really leave the house with just a pair of shoes, a Roost Sport, whatever I need to fit inside it, my house key, my phone, and just go. I don't have to worry about taking a belt. I don't have to worry about anything being uncomfortable when I run. It holds what I need. It gets the job done, and it does it in a really comfortable way, which is not something you can say about a lot of running gear out there. And Dave, I know you recently got one. I don't know if you have any experiences you want to share.
Actually, I have been training with it since I got it a couple of weeks ago. Just last weekend, I went on a good long run. I went in it, threw some gels in it, threw my phone in it, didn't even feel the pouch. The only reason I knew it was there is because I felt my phone on my hip. Didn't move. The magnets made it stay right there on my belt loop. And honestly, it's the best thing I've ever had because, like I said a couple weeks ago, when I first started running, Adam, you told me to go get one of those belts that have the water bottles and the little fanny pack looking thing up front. And it just rode up and down when I started running. I didn't like it. It didn't feel comfortable. But this Roost Sport pouch, it really is. It's the best thing you can take when you're running.
Yeah, and we're about to actually go out to some theme parks coming up in the next week or two, and so I'm going to take it out for a spin in a theme park, something completely different than running. So we'll let you guys know how that goes after we have that experience. So visit theroostsport.com and take a look at their products. They've got multiple colors, multiple sizes to fit all kinds of phones, and find the one that's right for you, and that's theroostsport.com. Go visit their website, take a look at their product.
Everybody, welcome back into Sideline Morning. Hope y'all all are as well rested as we are. It's easy for me to say, right? Hope y'all had that nice Coke and a smile, like we always say. But now it is time to do a segment that we have been wanting to do for a very long time. and we finally have enough calls to make the Blitz segment happen. Are we going to call it the Blitz or are we going to call it the mailbag?
It's the Blitz. People are blitzing our phone lines.
It's not 93144 mailbag. Come on, Dave.
It's 931
44 Blitz.
All together now.
931-44 Blitz, 931-44 Blitz. This way Adam won't forget it next time I go to him to try to get him to say something.
And that's why we do this segment every week, because our phone line is being blitzed all the time with callers.
All right, so Adam, you've got the calls queued up, right?
I do.
All right, so first call, you ready? Ready? Here we go.
Hello.
Dave, is that a rotary phone?
That is a rotary phone.
Actually, it was Dave and his Mississippi State cowbell.
Our podcast is in 2018, but Dave's phone is in 1934.
Hey, we got a rotary phone, so that's the sound effect.
Okay. Your phone was made the same year as my computer, Dave.
There you go. So let's go with the first call, Adam.
All right, here we go. So this one's college football talk, guys. Here we go.
Hi, this is Virgil Russell from Florida. I got a two-part question for you guys. In the SEC this year, there will be 5 new coaches: Jimbo Fisher, Dan Mullen, Joe Moorhead, Chad Morris, and Jeremy Pruitt. Also, there will be one that was interim coach, but now he's been named head coach, which is Matt Luke. So there'll be 6 new head coaches in the SEC. Of those coaches, which one do you think is going to have the better season, and if you think they will survive the first year? Then also the 9 existing coaches from Vanderbilt, Georgia, Missouri, LSU, Kentucky, South Carolina, Auburn, and Alabama. How many of those teams do you think will lose a head coach next year? I'm thinking LSU and Kentucky. So I look forward to hearing what you guys talk about. Thanks. Bye.
Well, first off, it was great to hear Mr. Russell's voice again.
I was about to ask, is that some kinfolk, Adam?
Yeah, that's my dad. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Dave?
It is. How's old Virgil doing?
Oh, he's good, man. He's in just Lakeland, not Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Orlando. He's just in Lakeland.
In Lakeland. Okay.
Just Lakeland.
But he said Florida. You basically just gave away his location.
Well, he said it in there though at the beginning.
No, he said in Florida.
I'm sorry. Well, he's in Polk County. How about that?
Listeners, please do not mob our callers. To all of our listeners, we know there are a ton of you out there. Please do not mob our callers. We are not trying to give away their undisclosed locations.
Well, first off,
Adam will not be at his dad's house for autographs. He's not going. Adam has his own home. He's not going to be giving autographs at his dad's house.
I'm sorry to disappoint everybody, but he's right.
Yeah. First off, Mr. Russell, it was really good to hear your voice. I hope you're doing well. Hope you and your wife are doing well. But so let's dig into this. He has 2 questions. One of the new coach, we'll call it 6 new coaches, who will have the best year. I think it's an easy answer. I think it's going to be Jimbo Fisher. I think Jimbo has the best tools to play with. And I think Jimbo will lead Texas A&M to probably an 8-9 win season. And for Texas A&M standards, that's a good year. Who do y'all think?
I mean, I think Texas A&M is hoping to get beyond that eventually, right? But I think Jimbo's problem is going to be, he jumped in, and I think one of the first stories that came out was he called all the players soft and was like, being a little bit what the players felt was harsh overall. But I think I did a coin flip between Dan Mullen and Jimbo Fisher because I think Florida's actually, and we picked the East a while back, right? I think Florida's actually going to pull out a pretty good season this year and come in at the top, not at the top of the East, but towards the top.
Well, it's easy to say Jimbo Fisher because he's got a national championship under his belt. But for me, I think it's definitely going to be Dan Mullen just because Florida's in the East and Texas A&M's in the West. There is a lot more for Jimbo Fisher to sift through. And I get it, Florida's in shambles, but both programs, Florida and Texas A&M, have a ton of athletes. And so it's really about who gets these guys to buy in. But Florida has a much easier route to 10 wins or 8 or 9 wins than Texas A&M does. There is just going to be so much more potential for Florida to move up in the East than there will be for Texas A&M to gain ground in the West.
So are we going to say their standings is the best way to look at how good of the coach they are, or their win-loss record? Because if you look at win-loss record, I think Texas A&M is going to have a better win-loss record, but they'll be further down in the standings than Florida. Because I really do think Florida's going to be second in the SEC East. But A&M will probably be third or fourth. But A&M will win 9 games. I don't think Florida's going to win. I think Florida will probably win 7 or 8.
Well, I mean, but if you're saying Florida's second, you think Georgia's going to far surpass that, right? Like, it's not going to come down to a tiebreaker in your mind.
No, it won't at all.
Yeah, I think it would be based off of win-loss. That's why I've got them flipped either way. I think Florida fans will be very pleased, probably more pleased than anybody else with the results they get. But I think win-loss, I think you're right. Jimbo would probably be better overall.
Well, the way I think about it is not so much win-loss or anything like that, as much as I think who could accidentally wind up in the SEC championship game. And it is the path for Florida to get into the SEC championship game is much easier than it is for Texas A&M. And that's what I think makes the difference. Because if Florida could have 7 wins and the East is so bad, they could have 7 wins and wind up in the SEC championship game, and people would be like, well, this is really not any better than it was with that other guy, but it's still an SEC championship game, and that's what Florida does.
So we're all in agreement, not Matt Luke.
Yeah, not Matt Luke.
Okay,
sorry.
Right.
Tell Blair we apologize, but it will not be Ole Miss.
This is a whole family show for me. It's like, this is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
But Dark Horse, I got to say, I really think people are underestimating Moorhead at Mississippi State. And I really think that he can latch onto the JUCO system, as you have to do at the Mississippi schools to do well. And he can put athletes in there, and he runs a system that is effective but also simplistic enough that he can bring guys in just 1 or 2 years and turn them into really effective athletes. And so it may not be this year that shows up, but I think Moorhead can actually take Mississippi State to their highest ceiling, which is the big upsetter in the West.
Yeah, I like that. It's probably my third pick of the new crop. But the second part of his question is, of the 9 remaining coaches, 9? Yeah, 9. Who's going to be in the hot seat? And I think he said, will there be more than one? I kind of don't agree with his Kentucky pick. No. I think he's been there for a long time, and I think he's the second longest tenure coach in the SEC behind Nick Saban. Wow, I can't believe that Nick Saban's the longest tenure coach in the SEC. But I think there's only one that's going to be on the hot seat, and I think we're not going to be able to understand a word he says. It's the Bobby Boucher of coaches, old Ed Ogeron. Tell him about it, JoJo. I don't think he's going to make it past the end of the season there at LSU.
Yeah, I agree. That was my pick too. I think out of the ones that are out there, I don't think anybody in the West is going to be close except for him, and I don't think anybody in the East, honestly. I think even Derek Mason at Vanderbilt, Stoops at Kentucky, I don't think there's anybody who's going to be willing to make a move right now, because I think you kind of see it with some of the hires that happen in the off seasons. There's not that instantly recognizable name. Like some of these guys, you're having to dig a little bit to figure out who they are. If there were some more accessible people that people knew who they were, had name recognition, had, a clear resume that they brought with them, I think you might see more movement, but I think LSU is the only one that you could see that with.
The only one?
Bring back Les Miles. Yeah,
the only one. Who else you going to put out there, Ben? Because Gus is going to go undefeated until the Georgia game.
Is he?
He'll be under. Have you looked at their schedule? It's an
even year. It's an even year, though.
It's a cakewalk. There's going to be 3 undefeated teams before the Old South's oldest rivalry.
Auburn could lose to Washington Labor Day weekend, and things could get out of hand really fast.
My hot take is going to be that Auburn, Georgia, and Alabama will all 3 be undefeated first weekend in November.
Look, if Auburn struggles out of the gate and loses to Washington, this season could get out of hand fast. They'll bounce back and beat Alabama State, but it could very well easily go the other way where LSU's looking pretty good and they handle Auburn on September 15th. And I'm just, thumbing through the schedule. There's definitely some teams that Auburn's going to beat, but if they start the season 1-2, which is definitely a possibility, you could have a mutiny on your hands in Auburn, because that's the way things go sometimes. And there have been so many years where things were hyped up out of Auburn, where they would say, "Oh, we've got this Heisman Trophy guy that's going to win the Heisman Trophy this year, and we've got a team that's going to contend for a national championship," and then they wind up having some of their worst seasons. So you never know when the hype machine is accurate coming out of Auburn. And I really think Auburn could struggle out of the gate. And if they have a quarterback injury or they have a couple of key defensive guys get injured, things could get out of hand for Auburn in spite of having a pretty weak schedule.
So you've got Auburn and Ogeron? Or you don't even have Ogeron on there.
Well, no, I'm not saying Coach O is not in trouble, but I'm saying if you're saying Coach O is the only hot seat, the seat in Auburn can get pretty hot pretty quick if things don't start out well the first 3 weeks of the season.
Okay. Well, tell you what, we appreciate the call, Mr. Russell. And now we got a second one, right, Adam?
Yeah, we do. This one's actually about
Hold
something
up.
we've... Oh, sorry. My bad, dude.
The phone's ringing. We got to answer it.
Hello. So this one's actually about something we've never talked about before, I don't think, guys. The WNBA. You ready for this?
No.
Here we go.
Hey guys, my name is Bo Jones, and I came across a post on Facebook, like I'm sure a million other people did, where a WNBA rookie called out LeBron James for getting a contract for $150 million, and she immediately took it to the look at the wage gap between the WNBA and the NBA. And I think a good topic for discussion from you guys, I'd like to hear your points of view on it, is one of two things. Is the wage gap due to the difference in the entertainment value, or is it a difference just purely in revenue? I kind of think they go hand in hand, that the WNBA does not have the revenue generated because they do not produce the same type of entertainment that a bunch of 6'7", 7-foot tall guys running up and down the court, playing manly basketball. I don't think that produces the same type of entertainment that the WNBA can do. So I just want to get your thoughts on that, and like to hear what you say. Thanks. Have a great day.
Gentlemen.
First off, wage gap between the WNBA and the NBA. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I can tell you what channel the WNBA is on. So if you can tell me...
ESPN has regular WNBA games.
Okay. If anybody can tell me who won the WNBA championship this year.
Without Googling it.
Without Googling it. But I guarantee you, all three of us can tell you who won the NBA championship the last 3 or 4 years without even thinking about it. In fact, we could probably tell you who played. Well, of course, I know we can tell you who played in the NBA championship the last 3 or 4 years.
But Dave, isn't that because the media is covering the NBA and they're not covering the WNBA? That's why you know who was in the championship?
Well, yes. Dadgummit.
See,
poking holes in my logic here.
It's that simple. There is a bias against these things.
Okay, let me ask you this. You're the basketball man, Ben. Would you rather watch Avery Johnson now or Rick Moody in 2000? Alabama men's basketball, or when they're decent, or Alabama women's basketball when they were good and making Sweet 16 runs?
Yeah, I'm messing with you. It's really no contest. The NBA is a better product than the WNBA. And also, there's two alternative sort of professional basketball things going on. There's the TBT tournament, which is all of these former like college alums and former like international players putting together people for the tournament, and that's been pretty good TV. I suspect. Yeah, there's also the Big Three, which is like Ice Cube's basketball league of 3-on-3, and I suspect both of those things are getting better ratings than the WNBA, and you know those are, you know, former stars, those are lesser talents, and I still suspect it's getting better ratings because, for better or for worse, men's basketball is a better product. You have more people that can dunk, and people like dunks. The same way that folks dig the long ball in baseball, dunks matter, and there are only a handful of players that can dunk in the WNBA. So you know, you can't name who won the WNBA this year, but you also can't name who won the NBA's Gamer League. The NBA operates multiple leagues besides the men's league. They operate the WNBA. They now have a gamer league that plays the NBA 2K video game, and every like 20 of the 30 teams have their video game teams. NBA also operates a league in China. You can't tell me who won that championship. So and yeah, exactly. And the point is, none of those leagues bring in the revenue or the TV ratings that the NBA does, and that's the difference. That's where the money is. Just like Saban making a $10 million contract, that's supply and demand. That's bringing in the revenue, and it results in bigger contracts.
And can I take it to the numbers for a second, guys?
Go ahead. You always do.
You talk about a better product, right? The average points per game by an individual team in an NBA game ranges between 98 and 112 over the course of an entire season. In the WNBA, it's 75 to 85 points per game. So there's not as high scoring. People like high scoring stuff. That's why Americans don't like soccer. So
the commie sport.
Exactly. So if you take into account, how long is a NBA game, gentlemen?
2 hours.
How many quarters? 4? How long are the quarters?
15 minutes?
12
to 15. 12. Okay.
So that's about 2.1, 2.2 points per minute. And WNBA game is 10-minute quarters. It's right about 2 points per minute. So there is actually more scoring. But how many games are in an NBA season?
82.
How many games are in a WNBA season?
I have no idea.
34. So if you want to look just not only revenue, not only the economics of the business side of it, but you talk about wage gap, they play a third of the time, easily a third of the time, that a NBA player will over the course of their career. They're not only not a big name, they're not only not covered by the media, they don't get the ratings, they don't get the sponsorships, they don't get the contracts, but they just don't play as much, not nearly as much. So there's already going to be a wage gap there. It just makes fiduciary sense for there to be one. But I think it goes hand in hand. I think it's entertainment value, and I think it's just purely they don't play as much. Why would you pay somebody that much money to play a third of the time that LeBron James is going to play? Even if they were just as talented and they could take him one-on-one, you're only going to see him a third of the time already.
Also, I think it's true the WNBA has advertisements on their jerseys. They were doing it well before the NBA was.
Yeah.
Whereas the NBA does it for additional revenue. The WNBA was doing it because they literally couldn't keep the lights on. I don't think that's a myth. I don't think I'm making that up. Listeners, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I really don't think the economics of the WNBA work without the jersey sponsors.
Yeah.
And that is how tight things are for them to be able to maintain the WNBA.
Yeah.
Also, if you're trying to figure out who won the WNBA, I did not look this up. I am suspecting it's the Minnesota Lynx or the Los Angeles Sparks. It's very much like the NBA. There's really only 2 or 3 super teams that can win, and so for like the last several years, it's been the same teams in the finals, very much like the NBA. So so usually when in doubt, guess the Minnesota Lynx or the Los Angeles Sparks, and there's like one other team that's pretty darn good.
I don't even think I can tell you a player. Is Candace Parker still playing?
No, I don't believe so.
Is Lisa Lobo or whatever her name was for UConn still? Okay. Sue Bird, is she still playing?
No, I don't believe any of those are. But you can
Diana Taurasi, she's still playing.
I actually think Diana Taurasi is still playing. Don't quote me on that. but I think so. And I think she was with the Phoenix team. The Phoenix Mercury, is that what they're called? I think they're the Phoenix Mercury.
I don't know.
I have now attempted to name 3 WNBA teams, so I am truly the basketball expert here.
Okay.
Okay, let's name 2 more WNBA players. Brittany Griner is still playing, the former Baylor star. I'm pretty sure she's still playing. And basically, whenever SportsCenter has a highlight on the WNBA, they show Alana Delle Donne, the former, I believe she played at Delaware. But anyway.
I have no idea.
Anyway, the point is, the WNBA exists, and it makes
we appreciate it for what it is.
And it makes some money, but it doesn't make as much money as the NBA, and that is why it is what it is and where it is.
I'll tell you this. In my hierarchy of sports, it goes from lowest to highest, WNBA soccer. And that should tell you something, because y'all know my disdain for soccer.
Is that the sport where they have advertisements on the jerseys as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a sport where they say you celebrate a tie, but to quote the greatest coach in college football history, tie-in's like kissing your sister.
The second greatest coach. Adam, do we have any other calls?
I think we do. Hang on. There we go.
Oh, somebody get the phone.
Hello. All right.
This is a fun call.
Ben, you're gonna have some fun with this. So listen up.
Yeah, hi. This is the city of Cleveland calling about a episode you guys had about Cleveland being a dumpster fire or something. I think that your host, Benjamin Foster, and I don't know who the guy is, but I'm just saying that Cleveland is fine. Yeah, sure, the Browns didn't win one. Yeah, we get that. We don't need LeBron here in Cleveland. We're just fine. I mean, we have the Cleveland Indians who are leading their division, who will be in the playoffs. We're not a sports dumpster fire, okay? And we got your boy Colin Sexton. I'm just trying to say, Cleveland is not a dumpster fire, Mr. Benjamin Foster, or whoever you think you are. So if you want to come up here to Cleveland and you want to talk sports, we'd be happy to have you. And we'll tell you right now, we are the best city for the sport of basketball, baseball, football. Come up here and say we're a dumpster fire. I dare you right now, all right? Bye.
Ben?
Oh, man.
Hold
That's
up.
amazing.
Best city for the sport of baseball. New York. Los Angeles.
I love that they're the best city for football. That's
yeah, he named all of it.
That is.
Do they not have a WNBA team in Cleveland?
They do. No, I don't know. That's my favorite call. MVP of the night.
Thank you, dear caller, who simply identified himself as the city of Cleveland. I love that an entire city has called me out for many reasons. One, that means we should have a whole lot more listeners now, knowing that the entire city was listening. Oh wait, it's Cleveland. Nobody actually lives there. Thanks so much, Cleveland.
Rocks.
Cleveland rocked. Past tense. The Drew Carey Show has been canceled for a long time. This is unbelievable. I did not say an entire city was a dumpster fire. Or at least I don't think I did. I could have. It would have been true. But I was talking about the basketball team, who even with Colin Sexton, who I love dearly and have tossed basketballs to, it's going to be a dumpster fire. It's going to be a rough...
Kevin Love, man.
Kevin Love, you want to tell me about Johnny Venter's arm being messed up, and you're going to argue Kevin Love makes a team not a dumpster fire? That's unbelievable. Cleveland, the best thing you might have going for you is a Food Network show talking about the grilled cheese sandwiches you got. That's all Cleveland's got going for it. I've actually spent time in Cleveland. It was the longest hour of my life driving through that town. I love Terry Francona, and I hope he has great success with the Cleveland Indians, and I hope the Cleveland Indians have great success. But you can't even tout them this year. They're the only team in their division above 500. They're going to make the playoffs just because somebody had to make the playoffs. That's unbelievable. You're going to tell me you're a football town? The home of the Browns? Give me a break.
Hey, who was the only team in NFL history to go winless?
I believe
that-
that'd be Cleveland.
Cleveland
Oh,
Browns.
Cleveland, was it?
Yeah,
Oh.
Cleveland.
From the best city for the sport of football?
I think that
No.
would be Tuscaloosa.
Oh.
And if this is the caller I think it is, this caller went to school in Tuscaloosa with me. So he should know that Cleveland is not a football town. Cleveland's a music town, man. It's not a sports town. Thank you for the call, and that's the best call of the night.
The capital of the Rust Belt.
Oh, okay. If you want us to do more of these call segments, and I love them, we need to do more of this. That phone number is 931-44-BLITZ. Adam, what's the number?
931-44 Blitz. You don't get to say it. I get to say it. Come on, that's how it works.
And look,
I even remembered it and everything this week.
And look, some of you are thinking about calling in, and you go, "Oh, I don't want to call in now because Ben's gonna roast me." No, I didn't roast Cleveland. They were already burnt because they're a dumpster fire. I'm not gonna roast anybody else that calls in. They were already burnt to a crisp before I got started on them.
Well, what about Auburn? Because they're always burning. Barnes burning?
Wow.
Okay.
And I want to plug really quick. Now you can see when people do call in the breadth of topics we get to cover, things we would never have talked about otherwise. So
I love it.
It
Call in,
expands-
guys.
it
Let's do
expands
another
the
one of
show.
these.
We've got whole cities listening to us.
Whole cities.
Whole
Let's
cities.
have Boston
Whole
call in.
cities.
Do we think we can get Lake Buena Vista to call us? Oh, boy.
Already did. Oh, gosh.
Boy. All right, guys. So you've had our blitz. You've had our talk about football, baseball, even basketball. We even had a conversation about a whole city. So now Ben's still fuming over here. So let's let him start the sideline warning. Ben Foster, keep fuming.
I'm not fuming. I'm just sweating because there's a lot of heat coming off of that dumpster fire. My sideline warning is simple. As we approach the trade deadline, teams are gearing up to make their final push, or their lack thereof, for the playoffs. And as we look at this, we see that the Yankees right now, I can't believe I'm doing this, I'm actually going to advocate for the Yankees. The Yankees are 6 games out of first place right now, behind the Red Sox. And the Yankees are going to wind up having like somewhere around a 700 winning percentage, but they're going to be a wild card team. That is absolutely absurd. It's also detrimental to the Braves, who may be looking at a wild card spot too, but it is absurd that a team as good as the Yankees are, and I have to admit it because the numbers, the winning percentage reveals that. They're a good team. They're a great team. By most measures, they're probably the 3rd or 4th best team in baseball right now. And to relegate a team that is that good, that watchable, and, like it or not, that marketable to a wild card spot where they're out of the playoffs in one game is bad for baseball. This one game wild card versus wild card matchup is not a good thing for the game. If you're going to have it play in like that, you've got to have it be more than one game. You need a 3-game series to determine if which wild card plays in, because one game is too short a time for something freaky to happen and take a very good team, a World Series caliber team, off the table. That's why the World Series is 7 games. That's why the league championship is 7 games. And that's why the division playoffs are 5 games. That's one game is not enough to show how good a team is, and not enough to show which team's better. Baseball, you've got to change this wild card system because it's going to keep very good teams out of the World Series. And that's it. I advocated for the Yankees, which is something I didn't think I would do.
I agree with half of your sideline warning. I agree that the wild card system needs to be changed, but advocating for the Yankees, Ben? Last week you were advocating for Bryce Harper. Now you're advocating for the Yankees. Who are you? You going to advocate for Auburn next week?
No, I am a guy that advocates for better sports, and I advocate for the truth. And that's why I point out things like Cleveland being a dumpster fire. I can't help but present the truth, because that's ultimately what this podcast is about.
Okay.
Here.
Adam, go with yours.
So I'm calling an audible here, guys. I'm going to cover Mr. Des Bryant.
Oh.
So, yeah, being a Cowboys fan, this was near and dear to my heart the more I found out about it, that the Cowboys executive vice president, Stephen Jones, was interviewed, I think, on Sirius XM about how he felt.
Jerry?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised, but probably not. About how he thought that Dak was doing, and he was talking about how it was tough for Dak last season because Des Bryant was always in his ear. Cowboys have released him, released Des, and that was mishandled a little bit in some people's eyes. But Des Bryant then comes back with a Twitter rampage about how he's being made the scapegoat and how it was bad play calling and the snakes in the locker room, people that he couldn't be trusted. Those were the real reasons that he was out, and that everybody played the same position, I think he said in the tweet, for 17 weeks, and it wasn't him and Dak's ear that caused that. Now, first and foremost, I don't think any of us believe that Des Bryant wasn't in Dak Prescott's ear to get the ball thrown to him more often at all, ever. That absolutely has to be the truth. That's his personality. That's what it looks like. But it's the interview and then Des coming back and then Sean Lee coming back and being interviewed about it. It's just starting to turn into something that's bigger than it is. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, Des Bryant proves exactly why he got released and why it's been a little bit of a slow process for him to get picked back up. I mean, it's the offseason, that stuff happens. But I think that he's proving exactly why he got released in the first place with this coming back and going on a Twitter rampage. And I think the Cowboys made the right choice. Now I would just like to see the Cowboys shut up about it. I think they should just turn off their mouths, turn off the comments, turn off if the interview questions come up, say no comment, and just move on from it and just act like it's over, because I don't think anything can help by furthering it. So my plea is for the Cowboys to just ignore it and don't answer any more questions and just let Des prove to everyone exactly why he got released in the first place.
Bringing it back to Ben's sideline warning, guess where Des is probably about to land?
Dumpster.
Cleveland.
I thought you were going to say the Braves were going to pick him up for the bullpen.
Why not?
So let's. Ben's was about what's wrong with baseball. Adams was about what's wrong with the Cowboys right now. But mine. So we all grew up in the '90s as Braves fans, right? Here's mine. Guys, when I play this song, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
Ozzy Osbourne biting a bat's head off.
No.
That too.
Okay. Well, but batting third for the Atlanta Braves, number 10, Chipper Jones.
Larry.
Yeah, New York fans will probably call him Larry. But I'll tell you this, guys. We were recording this podcast on Sunday. I think we've already covered that. But this afternoon, Larry Wayne Chipper Jones was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame on the first year he was eligible. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a better, more well-deserved man on the field. Now, off the field, he had his issues. But when I think of the Atlanta Braves, when I think of a man that embodies the Atlanta Braves in the 90s, was Chipper Jones. Chipper wanted to stay a Brave his whole career. Chipper did everything he could to help the baby Braves. Even when he wasn't playing, Chipper's always been at spring training. Chipper's always trying to help these Braves move on. He's still Freddie Freeman's best friend. They still talk about hitting. I think the Braves need to do something they've needed to do 4 years ago. Bring Chipper Jones on as a special consultant, pay him, maybe be a hitting coach. He needs to do something with these Braves, but that's all beside the point. I want to say this. Chipper Jones, what you did today was well-deserved. I hope your wife is already in labor because they let you go on first. I don't know if y'all heard this. He was able to go. They made him do his speech first because they were afraid that Taylor was going to go into labor during if they had to wait in the hot sun there. She's 9 months pregnant. She's due any second now. Enjoy, what is this, your fifth son, your seventh child. They announced what they're going to name him today. Any guesses on what they're going to name their newborn son?
He named one of his kids after Shea Stadium because he loved hitting home runs there. So I can only assume this child will be named Citi Field.
Cooper. He's naming his son Cooper because he's going to be born around the time he was inducted into Cooperstown.
That's cool.
Very appropriate.
That is come on, man. If you want to see how a perfect switch hitter should hit, go find Chipper Jones videotapes. To this day, in MLB The Show, when I create my own player, my batting stance is Chipper Jones. That besides Ken Griffey Jr., Chipper Jones is the embodiment of a perfect swing. That little toe tap, the twitch of the bat, it's perfect, man. But anyway, Chipper Jones, well deserved. Thank you for all your years of the Braves playing on the field. Thank you for what you're doing for the Braves organization going forward. Please, please, please try to become a batting coach or even a manager. We'll love to have you.
Dave, did you see the photo the Braves posted? It was a photo from Cooperstown where I think they're in a back room or something, and it is Bobby Cox, Greg Maddux, Chipper Jones, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, and John Sherholtz all sitting around a table together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, could you imagine what the conversations are like in that room?
Did y'all listen to Chipper's acceptance speech today?
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I haven't.
Okay. So he went around and, Maddox, some of your antics I can't say here because there's children present. Tommy, thank you for your tenacity. Oh, look, and he does smile, and every now and then Tommy was cracking a smile, and then he said, "John, you're the ultimate professional. You're as good a golfer as you are a baseball player. First off, you excel in golf." You excel on and off the field, but what was up with that 85 of the Senior Open? Called him out for that. And then he said, also, baseball, I would like to apologize for that wig John wore a couple years ago. Yeah. Calling it back to him, putting that curly hair wig on. But guys, there you go. That's our sports talk. You've heard us talk about everything today. I can't even go into recap today. But if you want us to have another mailbag segment, Adam, what number do they call?
931-44-BLITZ.
That number is 931-44-BLITZ. Call in. We'll have some more mailbag segments. Also, follow the show on Twitter. It's at SW The Show. You can follow Ben on Twitter. He is at The Ben Foster. You can follow Adam on Twitter at RunTideRun. He hadn't tweeted in a while.
I've been shadow banned. Sorry.
Shadow banned?
Sorry. Yeah, that's a thing. Look it up. It's a thing.
It's a thing. Okay.
It's a thing.
I am at DAdams419. I need to change it to at Golden Voice of the Southeast.
Oh my gosh.
That's the longest Twitter handle ever.
But I am at DAdams419. Follow all of us if you want to. Also, find us on Facebook. We're at SW The Show. Instagram at SW Show. Find the Facebook fan group, Sideline Warning Facebook fan group. Also, do all that. Make sure you like, share, subscribe us, tell your friends about us. And as always, we love you. We'll see you next week. And roll tide. Good night, ladies. Poor network connection going on right here. Can y'all still see me fine?
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
One for me. One for Ben, one for Adam.
Yeah, close up. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, that was solid. Well, I think that's going to be the outtake. Yeah, but
so that's what you mean by tweeting.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were awarding us each points.
Yes, where the points don't matter.
Adam looked it up.
Wow. This is like the tweets. Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
Hey, this is Ben. I'm just testing out my levels here. Wanted to see how I sound. Ooh, I sound good. I sound like the golden voice of the South.
Wrong. That's me.
Wrong.
This is huge. This is Dave. This is the Golden Voice of the Southeast here. This is Dave. How's it sound, Ben? Are my levels okay?
You sound a little trumped up.
Hello? Hello?
Professionals.
Yeah, we're definitely use that one, Dave.
That one?
Yeah,
What about this one? That's the same one.
that's the same one.
What about this one?
There's a rap song called Phone Ring.
Right.
I love that you're doing an extensive search on your phone for a ringtone.